On the same exact day that a study came out saying that electric cars will be cheaper by 2030 than gasoline-powered cars, BMW's boss said, no. They're lying. Electric cars will never be cheap. Well, he didn't say they're lying, but he refuted this and claimed, if BMW can't do it, nobody else can. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. My name's Sam Evans, and I am an advocate for cheap EVs because they will be cheap. They will absolutely come down in price. Most of that is driven by what? China. Massive competition in China. China's this melting bed of just tons of electric vehicle companies competing against each other. Massive numbers of EVs being produced in China. That means, what do we have? What are we seeing? We're seeing the prices come down. Right now in China, there is no question. You cannot argue that electric cars are not on parity with EVs, because they are. You can buy a Model Y now for $36,000 in China. A similar car, gasoline powered, in many cases is even more expensive than that. So that's not just Tesla doing that. It's other car companies as well. The point has come and we are here. But BMW claims they can't do it. Therefore, no. It's not real. This reminds me of when Mercedes said a few weeks ago that basically the Tesla Semi is vaporware. They didn't say those words, but they alluded to that when they said that the Tesla Semi is a mathematical impossibility. That's literally what Mercedes said. Yeah, just because their truck has half the range, therefore no one else can do it. Now, I think that's a weird attitude to have. If you discover someone else is doing something and they're doing it really well, rather than saying they're lying, maybe the best reaction to have would be to say, oh, is that true? How are they doing it? How can we do that too? The CEO of German car maker BMW has predicted electric mobility and electric cars will never be cheap, despite previously claiming the company will not leave affordable market segments when it switches to a battery-powered lineup. Clearly, this is a contradiction in terms. They're saying they're not going to leave the affordable segment of the market, like for example, their 1 Series cars, when they become electric. When everything is electric, BMW are going to stay in that segment, but their cars will be cheap, but they won't be cheap. Clearly, this is just more confusion from the CEO of BMW. In an interview with US publication CNBC, first spotted by BMW blog, BMW CEO Oliver Zipse claimed prices of electric cars won't be considered cheap by existing standards, even if costs go down as production increases. He said, BMW offers electric cars in all segments, and of course, if we scale things up, there will be a tendency that things will become cheaper, but electric mobility will never be cheap. Personally, I think this is crazy. But he continued by saying, this is the next task for this industry, to bring the prices down even further. But they'll never be cheap. Okay. Remember when you first bought, or what, you first saw electric scooters you could buy? I remember when I first bought one, and I think it was about $800. Now you can get the same model with twice the range, twice the battery size for $300. That's a big difference. That's a really big difference. I personally think BMW's CEO doesn't really follow technology that's going on with EVs. He can't. Otherwise, how could he not know that sodium batteries will drastically bring down the prices? For one thing, sodium batteries becoming mainstream, which they're about to do so, will bring down the price of lithium. That will help to bring down the prices of existing lithium iron phosphate and lithium nickel based chemistry batteries. Plus, sodium batteries themselves, CATL said, would be 30% cheaper within a few years than lithium iron phosphate. Now, clearly the biggest cost of an EV by far is the battery pack. And if we can see battery pack prices come down by 40 to 50% by 2030, which they inevitably will, what does that mean? Well, an EV is a much simpler vehicle to produce than an internal combustion engine vehicle, which has, like 10 times more parts. Therefore, less parts, less cost for the battery, 50% less cost for the battery is what I predict, and you have the perfect storm, EVs being cheap. BMW CEO appears to be unaware of these developments. Right now, in Australia, BMW's least expensive electric car is the X1, and it costs $83,000. That's $17,000 more than its similar X1 counterpart. BMW's previous cheapest electric car was the i3 City car, which sold at a lowest price in Australia of $64,000 in 2014, which including inflation, that's closer to $80,000 today. Didn't sell. BMW said at the time, actually BMW said back in 2020, no one wanted EVs because the i3 didn't sell very well around the world. They really just ignore the fact that it wasn't that good of a car in comparison to other rivals for the price. That's what the problem was, not actually demand. It was the product. Australia's cheapest car right now, cheapest EV, is the MG ZS EV. It starts at $43,000. That's about $30,000 and there's similar products from BYD. But we're about to see a wave of cheaper EVs from China. The Aura Good Cat, the BYD EA1 or the Dolphin. the MG4. There's a whole bunch of EVs that are going to come over the next few years that will inevitably bring down the prices. Then there's Tesla. They're working on their much cheaper Model 2. They aim to bring down the price of the platform for that vehicle, the structure, the skateboard, by 50%. That's a huge difference. Will that enable them to sell an EV for $25,000? I don't know. But if you combine that with the structural pack plus the gigacastings we've seen enter China recently within the last few days, that apparently show Tesla plan to make a large portion of that car in one structural piece. If you combine that with possibly sodium-ion batteries, there you could be looking at a $25,000 EV that still has a healthy profit margin for Tesla. It's definitely logically possible. So BMW's recent comments, or at least the CEO's recent comments, come less than 2 months after the executive said BMW won't phase out affordable cars when it goes electric, claiming the company won't leave the lower market segment. He also said that he believes hydrogen-powered cars are more likely to succeed in the long run than EVs. He thinks EVs are more of a fashion statement. Yeah, that's an interesting claim. Now, there are meant to be some BMW EVs which will be more affordable than what BMW currently sell coming out next year. BMW plan on releasing within probably a year or a year and a half, electric versions of the 1 Series and the 2 Series. Now, they won't actually go on sale in terms of actually products you can buy until 2027. So it's going to be a long time until BMW actually have affordable EVs for sale. They don't have any plans for affordable EVs anytime soon. That's probably not a big deal, to be honest. It's BMW. People are used to paying high prices for their cars, but it could be an issue if they don't have anything in that affordable segment. They could lose that affordable segment to other EV manufacturers, in particular EV manufacturers from China, who plan on basically just entering Europe in hordes. They plan on just releasing, millions of EVs into China, and they want to take market share. So they'll be willing to sell at a price where they don't make a profit until they take market share. Then they'll gradually raise their prices. Now, the other interesting thing to consider is that BMW has decided it wants to use the future of its batteries, the same cells as Tesla, 4680 cylindrical battery cells. It believes that those are the right move. Now, maybe that's the death knell for 4680 cells. I mean, if BMW thinks they're great, maybe they're not so great after all. Now, I don't know. Could be wrong on that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, my friends, have a great day.